Nothing is more disturbing than being rocked off your foundation. When something happens in your life that totally changes your priorities and totally changes your perspective, I think it gives you time to pause, and it certainly makes you stop and rethink and reevaluate everything. When we talk about Christianity as not being a religion, for some of us, it's probably a disturbing concept. I mean, we've been raised singing about that old-time religion. We've been raised talking about Christianity as ethics and morals and such, and yet it is the central core of the Scriptures that Jesus Christ came to destroy religion, not to fulfill it. He came to knock aside everything that is a work and give to us grace. Those 6 degrees of separation that distinguish us from every other system on the planet are so absolutely essential to understanding our faith and the faith of others that, it does give us time to pause. You got to understand, having come from Islam, do you know what those first weeks as a new believer were like? The idea that I no longer prayed because I had to, but because I have the ear of God. That I couldn't do anything to make God love me anymore or make Him love me any less. That He loves me completely and totally because He is perfection, and that His love for me, portrayed on the cross, is the fulfillment of my salvation. It's why I'm joined with Him in the power of the resurrection and the fellowship of His suffering. Don't you think that was Paul's point? In Acts 22, where Paul begins by giving his resume, he's not just trying to impress the people. At the outset of 22, with the Jerusalem crowd, he says, I'm a Jew. I was raised at the feet of Gamaliel. He's not doing that simply to impress others, being zealous for God. What he's doing is he's showing the distinction between being saved and being religious. That's why at the end of the story, when the angel of the Lord speaks down to him and God says, get up, get baptized. You have to go back to the people you've been persecuting and identify yourself with them. Those things that distinguish us also change the way we approach the world. It changes our perspective. We live in a personal, intimate relationship with the God who created us. He's not just a judge with a lightning bolt ready to strike us down. We operate out of reverential fear, not abject fear, awe-inspired terror that God's going to somehow strike us down when we mess up. That in Christianity, we don't have a teacher. We have a Savior. As we continue to hammer, every other system in the world will be seen as something where you have a teacher who, if removed, you still have a pretty good system, and yet in Christianity, if you remove Christ, you got nothing. That we live by grace. That isn't a negation of works. That doesn't mean we stop works. It means that works prove our salvation. That works are out of joy, not to earn the favor of God. In other words, I get to do things. I don't have to do things. I do things out of a sense of loyalty to the God who loves me and saves me, not because in some way He'll remove that salvation. We are separate from the religious world because the religious world is always seeking ways to impress their gods. But please remember this. In Christianity, it isn't man that seeks God. God seeks after men. All men. And He does for us on the cross not only what we could not do for ourselves, but that for which destroys all of our works. The cross put an end to my vain, prideful, desperate, my search for meaning. I lost my entire family when I got saved. No father, no mother, no brothers. I lost my culture, my language, my foods, my people, my identification. Those little kids in your pews, sitting there staring at you with no mommy and daddy. We realize that God is more intimately involved in our lives than even those that are closest to us. Like many, many believers, I lost everything and gained everything simultaneously. We're not religious. If we were, the cross would be useless.